So believe it or not, a lot of arguments for Christian universalism actually come out of the writings of St. Paul. And yes, I know Paul is the guy who, gets a lot of hate for being a chauvinist, supposedly, and anti-LGBTQ, supposedly. But believe it or not, Paul never talks about hell, and actually talks quite a bit about something that sounds a lot like universalism. But I think it's a shame because the teachings of Jesus in the four Gospels also have very universalistic flair. Now, the Gospels are very different than Paul, in that Paul is sort of doing theology in this more statement of fact kind of way, where Jesus is much more like responds with questions with more questions and tells parables. And so sometimes we don't always respect Jesus as the brilliant theologian that he is. But Sermon on the Mount, Jesus says things like, love like the Father loves in this complete, total way, the way that the Father, sends rain on both the righteous and the unrighteous, that the way that God loves is very total. It's for everybody, both the good and the bad. Jesus is teaching on forgiveness. Teach 7 times, 77 times, which is functionally all the times, like an unlimited amount of times. Like, you're not keeping a spreadsheet of the amount of times that you forgive somebody. You just forgive them. Jesus says things like, love your enemies, pray for those who persecute you, like go the extra mile. Do we think that God is absolved from those responsibilities? That God is the one exception to loving your enemies? God is the one exception to loving people who are difficult to love? That God is the one exception to forgiving an unlimited amount of times? No, of course not. God, if you believe in sort of an Orthodox Trinitarian point of view, is the one saying these things. And Jesus, in the Gospel of John in particular, says, I only say what I hear the Father say, and I only do what I see the Father doing. Like, God is the one who is saying this. So if all of this is true, then how does an eternal hell or annihilation make sense with any of those ethics that Jesus lays out? How can you possibly be a divinity, a divine person who says things like forgive, unlimited love, unconditional love, and also if you mess up, I'm going to torture you forever or annihilate you? It just doesn't work theologically.